not actually sure what's going to occur. We have a lot of network cables and VGA cables up here, and we're going to hope for the best. So, starting at the far end is Paul McMillan. Paul can raise his hand. I guess that's your left, my right.
Yep.
And then we have a guy whose name is Alex, or at least that's what I'm going to call him today. He's going to talk about Punk Spider here in a bit. We have Rob. Rob's, he's internet famous, and probably real life famous too, actually. We've never met before, but I can already tell he doesn't like me. We have Dan, who we've chosen not to give a microphone to, and myself. So what's going to happen here is Paul and Rob are going to talk about some large-scale internet scanning tricks. You ever seen like the David Letterman stupid pet tricks? You know, or stupid human tricks. My favorite, guy could stop a fan with his tongue. I still was scarred by that as a child because I was actually, not mentally, but physically, because I tried it. They're going to talk about that, and then we're going to segue over to, I guess, Dan, who's going to talk about the work that he's done scanning cloud providers and things of that nature. Alex is going to talk about the work he's done turning Punk Spider, arguably kind of an offensive tool, into a defensive tool. And then we're going to have a giant talk about ethics, which should be pretty exciting because we may get complaints from the internet as we do this talk. So it may be like a real-time ethics discussion with a lawyer. So anyway, I'd like to turn it over to Paul and Rob to get things going.
All right, so I'm going to start with a demo because then I'll have lots of time to fix it if it doesn't work. So what I'm about to do for you is I'm about to scan the entire internet on port 5900 for VNC servers. If you're running the appropriate cell phone networks and there is signal down here for you, your phone will get a packet from me in the next 10 minutes or so. What you see here is the web interface I've built for the distributed mass scanner. I'm going to get started here. And so what we're doing now is these are jobs that are going into a job queue. And I have 7 servers around the world that are picking up those jobs and turning those into full-speed network traffic. With these servers, you can get about 1 million packets per second. I've got them all spitting out packets as fast as possible. You can see here the traffic graph from those. You'll notice that it instantly kicked up to about 6.5 million packets per second. And a couple of the servers that are running here are not in this bandwidth graph. So we're probably putting out about 7 million packets per second. And these are addressed at every machine in the IPv4 space, minus the blacklist of people who have asked to be excluded or people that we've preemptively excluded because it seems like a good idea to do that for the US government.
So what's impressive about what Paul's done here is that he has the world's record for the fastest internet scan. So he's previously done it in 16 minutes, and now he's doing it in about, what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it 10 minutes if none of my providers have shut down any of my machines since this morning.
And by internet scan, we mean the internet. So, like, you know, how many people here have used a port scanner on their networks? Which is like everyone. So, and like in a lot of the port scanners, you can enter in like your CIDR address. So you do 10.0.0/16, because that's maybe your local network. And /16 is a pretty large network of 65,000 addresses. And you try to run Nmap over that, it takes quite a while. And you can tune it, you can distribute it across a few machines, and it still takes quite a while. So what we're doing here is, and it's still kind of a thrill to do it, is to type in 0.0.0/0, and not /16, not /8, but /0, meaning all the bits.
So the other fun thing we're doing here is, besides just sending SYN packets to the whole internet and recording what comes back, which is, you know, it's useful, it's interesting, but open ports don't tell you very much because a lot of devices on the internet are running firewalls that answer yes to every SYN packet, you know, sonic wall type devices. And so if we want to know what's actually out there, the simple port scan isn't going to give us enough information. So what we're doing here is, in addition to the port scan, as the results from the port scan come in, they are getting fed into a worker queue, And these worker queues are connecting to the found open port and trying to begin the establishment of a VNC connection. One of the interesting things about the VNC protocol is that there's an authentication method, which is number 1 in the protocol, which is no authentication. So if these VNC servers accept that authentication, no authentication, then we move them on to the next phase in the queue, which goes and takes a picture of them.
So what you're seeing on the left-hand screen?
Is it working?
So these are live results coming from his scan. They kicked off a few minutes ago.
This is the...
So, if you want to look yourself, so even better than the live results, you can look at these right now, results.survey.tx.ai. If you're on the conference network, it's not available on the public net. But yeah, so these are machines that are somewhere on the internet that have an open VNC. So in addition to the 7 gigabit dedicated machines that are running the scans, there are also there are about 120 cloud servers that I spun up for the purposes of this demo that are running that follow-up processing, doing the VNC connection, taking the screenshot. Running 100 servers, that sounds really expensive. At 4 cents an hour and they bill by the minute, it's not all that expensive. You know, the demo cost me $4 maybe. So think about distributing your workload to the cloud, because you can't run the SYN scans from a cloud provider, but you can do all kinds of other follow-up processing like what you're seeing there. So out of those 100 workers, it looks like we've got about 10,000 worker processes that are online from that. So did you want to talk about any things you were seeing there, Vis?
Sure. So, all right, is this okay? So yeah, some of these are very, very face-palmy, and some people at some point, and this has happened in the past, we'll be scrolling and the whole room will just burst out laughing. So what you're seeing here is a tool that I really like to use called nload. Nload is a wonderful command line utility that will tell you exactly what the bandwidth is that you're utilizing on any given interface at that very moment. So instead of setting up like Cacti or RRD tool or anything like that, you just nload at the command line and you get this thing. So this is cool. Right now, my machine is pushing 274 megabit outbound to the internet. It's receiving about 25 megabit. This is approximately, what, a seventh? Something like that? A seventh or an eighth of the total horde between myself and Paul. This is a single machine that's a hardware 1U box and a colo in San Diego that is doing part of the initial massive scan. So it's kind of like Paul was explaining, it's a 2-stage thing. The first thing you do is go and find open ports, and then you hand the open ports to worker processes that then will go and take screenshots. And you would not believe the types of things that people think would be a good idea to put a VNC client on.
They don't think.
No. And in a lot of cases, you'll see desktops. In a lot of cases, you'll see, we've seen everything like, I think my favorite from October of last year was the cow milking machine, which we may or may not see this time around.
We shouldn't see it. I think they took that one offline. We'll see
at
other
this-
interesting things, though.
Yeah, we will see things like a full-screened mainframe terminal connected to a pharmacy that has open VNC on password. So you can sit there and watch people fill out prescriptions and like home addresses and like hello HIPAA, right? Look, Mr. Zalanik's office.
14?
14. Okay, hold on. This one?
You make me nervous, sir.
So oh yeah, so there's that, right? And there's phone numbers. So you have people's names and phone numbers. We could play the Johnny Long game, and we can say like, let's look at what he has in the system tray, right? We can do that. So
He appears to have all the things in the system,
yeah.
right? Enough that I don't think VNC even made the cut. So.
Yeah, so like we like in other cases we'll see people like mining, like doing gold mining and WoW. We'll see people playing video games, which I can't imagine you get the best performance in the world when you're playing a video game that requires like full screen and graphics and stuff, and then you get that little thing in the bottom right hand corner. Anonymous is connected to your VNC server. Like, Some of these people are notified, right? You get a little pop-up in the bottom right-hand corner of your display that says somebody just connected to your machine, and no fucks are given. They keep going. Like, somebody's watching. Sweet.
Yeah, so this is one of the interesting things that we discovered is that it appears that the default behavior of real VNC, which is a very popular desktop VNC server, is that when you stop paying the license fee, in addition to bothering you, it takes away all the authentication. So that's kind of a dick move, but it makes this a little more interesting.
So in the interest of time, because I tried to give you 10 minutes, so I gave you 10 minutes.
Sorry.
Is there any last minute that you got one more thing you can hit? Make this computer what? Here, let me optimize that.
Yeah.
I just made Paul nervous by asking that question.
Yeah, you did. Oh, here's someone's kids. Okay, so the other thing probably to talk about is the blacklist. We run opt-out procedures. If you get hit and you send us an email, you do the reverse lookup on the IP address, you get a little web page which says, hey, contact us here to...
I sent you the email with the Korean thing.
Oh, yeah, you did. I can't pop that up easily now. Yeah,
Let's look at
and we get
Dan's
all
mail
kinds
school.
of complaints.
Yeah, so it's great because so I run scans weekly, and I try out new scans. Like last night, I don't know what SCTP is. It's a protocol like TCP and UDP, and it's used apparently in telecoms and LTE. And someone was mentioning SCTP ports in the LTE talk. So someone tweeted me and say, "Hey, do you support SCTP in your scanner?" So I'm thinking, well, one moment, please. So, so I added SCTP to the scanner. I still don't know what it is, but apparently it works. It tests against the test utilities on Ubuntu, and so I scan the whole internet with it. So anyway, so I dread this because every day I wake up in the morning, I get all these complaints about people who send me abuse complaints saying, hey, you're scanning our network and please stop. Which I'm more than happy to do if you tell me who you are and what your network is. Because everyone's got this, it's this blinders on. They assume that I'm scanning them, that I already know who they are. It's really hard getting them over the hurdle to get them to realize I don't know who they are. I'm scanning everybody. And so we get these really weird emails. I sent a screenshot of one of them to these guys since I don't have this connected.
It's a little slow. It hasn't even gotten...
Okay. So, and you get these threats, and like there's this, like, every scan I do, I get an email from this Korean, I don't know, MSP or something that manages the network for the Korean National Bank. And they say, hey, we're a Class A critical infrastructure. And I forgot the exact details, but it's really funny to read. And the emails themselves are pretty funny because, like, yeah, they say what I'm doing is illegal and blah, 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 blah. And, like, my scanner's up in Sweden and they're located in Korea. I don't know what the law is. But it's really great, though, because then they copy everyone on the email that's in their IT department with a list of, like, 20 people that all have, like, admin access to all their machines. I'm thinking... And yet, you're just asking for me to fish you, and like, I don't want to do that. But like, you send this the CC list, and like, it'd be wrong not to fish you. And so, and yeah, so I saw the screenshot over here, and you can see that this list is actually a lot longer than what Gmail's showing because it's 30 people. I don't know how many people on that list, and so. And so you get these emails, and you get these MSPs that try to hide their customer information by removing a few bytes from the address.
I'm going to jump in here and mention that the port scan is done.
Oh, so yeah, port scan is done. So that's the world's record. So that's the world's record for the fastest port scan ever of the entire internet.
What was
It looks like it was a little, it was about 12 minutes, a little under.
So that's the fastest internet scan ever. So, so anyway, so I get these MSPs, and they try to hide the information about their customers. But of course, they're giving me all the information I need to know to totally reverse engineer everything about their corporation, their architecture, everything, and plus the whole the CC list.
Cool. All right, so we're going to shift gears to this, who's going to talk about something cloudy, as far as I recall.
I'm going to talk about something cloudy. It's not the water. No, I sort of started this whole process when I decided that it would be neat to start doing massive scans based on Showdown results. And that started from, if anybody has read it, and I'm sure there are several people in the crowd who have, there was a consolecowboys.com, or whatever their blog was, a console Cowboys blog post that talked about a guy who reverse engineered the firmware of an IP webcam he had and found out that there was like this anonymous backdoor that the manufacturer had put in, where if you went to like the IP address of the camera /Anony, like ANONY/mjpeg.cgi, you could see the camera's video feed. And he thought, well, this is fun, you know, I'll just go see how many of these things show up on Shodan. And he found like tens of thousands or something like that. So I took that, like, you know, promptly took that ball away from him and ran with it. And it sort of ballooned into this ridiculous thing where I spent a year literally finding all sorts of absurd cameras on the internet. And it ended up me writing a lot of very poorly written Python code, which Paul helped me out with, which then turned into scanning the whole internet. So I decided it'd be a fun thing to see. People like the cloud. People like moving to the cloud, and there are people that still to this day believe that when you go to any cloud provider, that they will somehow magically wave a wand and do all your security and IT and architecture for you. I've actually been told straight to my face that I don't need security. Amazon does that for me. I'm like, well, kind of, but if I find you in this VNC screenshot list, like, Amazon isn't going to help you. They're going to laugh with me at you. But, so I decided to see, it would be interesting just to do a couple of small scans, and sadly I don't have any like formal slides to present it, but it's mainly text files like grep said. I scanned all the major cloud providers I could think of on port 3306 and port 1433, and nobody noticed. Which was
So I don't have Etsy services in front of me right now. What?
So 3306 is MySQL and 1433 is MS SQL. I just wanted to see how many OpenSQL servers there were on the internet, and there were sort of three major bullet points that I took away from that scan, which was one. There's more MySQL instances than MS SQL instances on Azure, which I thought was interesting because that's Microsoft's hosting platform. I'm like, that's really weird. And then somebody later told me that you can actually run Linux stuff on Azure, to which I was kind of surprised. But I have no experience with Azure, so I was just surprised the entire time. Then Rackspace was an interesting scan because every single host that I found that was up was showing port 3306 as open, to which it was like a 99.987%. I'm like,
you made a mistake with the scan.
You're kidding me, right? So there's either a typo on my part or there's something weird going on at Rackspace.
I redid it. I think it was about 4%.
Oh, it popped my bubble.
Sorry.
But, yeah, so
You do really good science.
I can't math. But
Seems legit.
There's several interesting takeaways there, which was, number one, I probably scanned all hosting providers at least 5 times each, one time from a plane. And nobody noticed, and I never got a single complaint, which is something very interesting to consider, which is, you know, us doing scans, or me with my one box doing scans, is so far below the radar, the noise floor of what these guys have to deal with, and nobody's going to notice. And I wasn't scanning the provider's infrastructure themselves. I was targeting purely the clients because I'm sort of convolutedly trying to build a talk that describes the type of clients that are attracted to different cloud providers, and then the security practices that those people do based on what providers they go to. Like, for example, if you were to scan SliceHost or Linode, you'd probably get a lot of beardy sysadmins screaming at you about an errant SYN packet, which happened, not from Linode, I don't think, but it happened the other day. I had a very interesting phone call about a very, very, very angry Australian who may have been screaming into the phone about a single errant SYN packet, to which it makes me realize, you know, when you send that SYN packet, you can fudge some of the data. If he's looking at the packet trace, you can put like lol Dogecoin and like your TCP, like it's just the SYN, right? So like you establish a handshake, you can put yeah. So you can mess with people that are looking at their packet logs, but so you can't scan from the clouds necessarily because the terms of service will prevent you. Like, certainly do not go and spin up a bunch of EC2 instances and try and scan from them.
Although it would probably be really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm doing. So.
Oh.
Well, but you're not.
Well then.
But you're not doing port scanning, are you?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the whole idea of scanning the internet and dealing with the complaints is a very interesting animal. Like, I've only seen two real major things. One was with the camera stuff that I did, where one guy yelled at me because I wouldn't go through something like 400,000 JPEGs and pick out the baby monitors because he found them offensive. He reamed me and called me a pedophile because I wouldn't go through.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
no, he was a real nice guy.
Yeah. And then there was the guy from Australia yesterday who was screaming at my provider, and he said that he would call the internet police, to which we were like,
No. No.
So I may have registered internetpolice.us and internetpolice.biz, and I may have just... So, my leg of the scan may have just come from the internet police. Although... Yeah.
Dude, you could get a card?
This was an alcohol-fueled piece of hilarity from like last night at 3 a.m.
We've spent the last 2 days sitting in the BarCon, just cackling and plotting and scheming and conspiring and getting graphics made and scanning the internet and writing code and more drinking and more cackling.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, I can't see anything over there, so I came over to see what was funny. But
Yeah, we'll get Dan to show you. So since we finished that first scan, I'm going to add a bunch more common VNC ports to the scan, and we'll just keep scanning since we're here, and we can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it was good. Yeah, sorry for the distraction. But yeah, so the major takeaways from my leg of it was essentially, if you decide to undertake this yourself, I did my first scan of the entire internet just a week and some change ago, and I have a gig pipe on a box. I was seeing something like 280 megabit a second. If I could get more bandwidth, then obviously would have gone faster. It took me about 5.5 hours to scan the entire internet with just one box. So this is like, it is within the grasp and reach of anybody that has a gig pipe to the internet. You can just pick up and scan the whole internet. But beware, you will find angry people. It's not that they will come out of the woodwork, as you are meeting them in their woodwork. You are going to them and saying hello with one SYN packet. But yeah, some people get very angry. Other people don't even notice. So in some cases you'll see, sysadmins and things like that. But
So how many people here have Verizon phones?
oh yes.
So during Paul's scan, assuming we have signal here, he reached out and touched you. So if you have VNC on your phone,
Yeah.
Paul will have grabbed, with no authentication of course, Paul will have grabbed a screenshot of your phone.
Yeah, everything. It's kind of a big idea. It's also, to reiterate, I'm only touching the things that have no authentication. If someone else were to go and try, the interesting thing about VNC is it's a password of exactly 8 characters. It's 0 padded, and no VNC server that I know of has realistic rate limiting. So there are a lot more devices out there that I'm certain are accessible. I can't do that because it's illegal, but just because it didn't show up in the scan doesn't mean it's not vulnerable. The takeaway is, can we get like passwords on things by default and not have unauthenticated modes?
Or firewalls so that you can't touch it in the first place.
Yeah, firewall
just
would be good.
bow to it and all.
Yeah, in October.
Yeah, botnet of fridges, remember?
Yeah.
God, that's awesome.
I need my fridge to be online, Like, if I can't VNC into my fridge, my life is over. Like,
All right, so to shift gears slightly, Alex is going to talk about the work he's done with Punk Spider. I don't know how many people saw his presentation last year on Punk Spider. So Alex has been running with the ball ever since then. He says it doesn't take up very much of his time at all, from what
Yeah, I can talk for the next hour.
or he said something to the effect of he's ruining his life working on this. But he also drinks Sam Adams out of the most hoity little glass. Like, it looks like it's a Belgian ale, but it's really just an American.
This was provided by you guys, actually. So.
Was it really?
Yeah.
The glass or the beer?
Oh, the glass. Yeah.
Okay, because we don't give out beer, so.
Oh, yeah.
That ended last night, I assure you.
All right. That's the first that I want to talk about. bunch.
One of those yet.
Can you waste a little bit of time while I make sure that this is actually working?
You want me to waste a little bit of time?
Yeah, can you just say
Yeah, you
things?
can give me the plug again, and I'll show the more. There are more lulls that have funneled in since I lost the
Why
display.
don't you show Lulls and I'll tell a funny story. So in October, I scanned the internet, and there were a bunch of things.
Such a funny way to open a story. So in October, I scanned the internet. Yeah. Not like I went to Disney World. It was. And for something that takes 10 minutes, you're like.
Yeah. Sorting through the results is the much bigger problem here. I mean, scanning the internet is quick and easy. Figuring out the results is the hard part. So I found a bunch of ICS systems that shouldn't be online. I sent them to ICS CERT. Nothing happened. So a reporter from Wired got in touch with me and wrote an article about a couple of the things I found. Among the things I found were 3 hydroelectric power plants in New York. The Wired reporter and I couldn't track down the operator, but when the Wired article happened, suddenly people came out of the woodwork who could track the operator down. So they got in touch with the person, and they said, well, okay, so I've put a password on 2 of them, but the guy who runs the other one doesn't want to be bothered. So it's probably in those results. It was when I looked a little while ago. So this is part of the problem, is this attitude of systems operators. My system isn't important enough. I don't want to put a password on it. If anyone hacks it, I'll just unplug the modem and replug it and get a different IP address. That'll stop them. A little unclear on the...
Are you spitting out 1400 by 900 or whatever, 1440 by 900?
Actually, isn't even my machine.
Oh, because that monitor won't sync to 1440 by 9. Do you guys see his screen?
Yeah, lower the resolution.
I heard both answers, which I appreciate the person trolling me.
You see it?
Okay.
Are you all trolling us? Because that would have been awesome. You got to think fast, people. You got to really go with that. So.
All right. So you guys can see Punk Spider, right? Sweet. Awesome. Let me remember what the hell I'm going to talk about. I talk about this thing so many times, and I don't even remember what it does. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm here to tell you about how we actually turned Punk Spider into a defensive tool. So everybody at my talk last year, we sort of focused a little bit on what you could do with it in some aspects of defense, but I did mention it had like huge offensive potential. So kind of decided to go the other way with it. Definitely didn't want to like get arrested and stuff. So we went this way, and it's actually worked kind of well for us. So the first things that we did, I actually had pretty little slides that I wanted to show you, and I'm completely forgetting to do that. Yeah, so basically the things I'm going to tell you about, let that load. Okay. So things I'm going to tell you about that have been like really big updates. So we just released this like last week. We built a new UI basically for a broad audience. So one of the big ideas for Punk Spider was that I didn't want it to just be usable by the security community, right? So I wanted it to be usable by like absolutely everybody. We added a bunch of new vulnerability types that we're scanning for. I'll show you all that stuff. Expanded search features, a bunch of cool stuff there. We're also building like blacklists and whitelists of hosts so that you can import into whatever it is that you folks are using these days. And we built a Chrome plugin, which I'll show you all about as well. So yeah, first kind of use case for Punk Spider in terms of defense. Let's say you're like a typical user, right? So you don't know a whole lot about security. You've heard that people are stealing things online, right? So you want to buy a new road bike, right? For some reason you want a German road bike because whatever. So you can actually go online to Punk Spider. You type in the website that you found. You found this website, roadbike.de, which will sell you some road bikes. I don't know. I don't know what you're into. But anyway. So you go in, you search, you just very simply press enter. Your wireless connection drops, and you look like a jackass in front of everybody. And then you try it again, and you look cool.
Just hypothetically.
Yeah, just
hypothetically.
Yeah,
okay.
this is just.
I appreciate
kind
the
of
scenario. It's
yeah,
some role playing we're doing here.
Typical story. Yeah, it's a little role playing. Yeah, get into it. Anyway, and you see that this has some vulnerabilities to it, right? So even if you don't know anything, you know that something's wrong here, right? There's a big red thing right here. Kind of a small detail, and you see that the risk here is 1. So in our documentation, we basically say, like, anything with a risk greater than 0, like, get the fuck away, like, run. Don't go there. And for you, actually, security-minded folks, you can actually see all the details and, see the URL with all the vulnerabilities in it and stuff like that.
Could you try, like, what, healthcare.gov?
Healthcare.gov. Yeah. No, well, I would do it. Now I'm going to look stupid because I can't, because we don't scan .gov or .mil. But if you guys really want me to...
Remember that thing you said about not going to jail? I just want to...
Yeah.
Don't hack where the law enforcement is.
If I get enough requests for it, I will consider doing it. Okay, so next year at ShmooCon, I will show you healthcare.gov.
Well, assuming they let you out.
Yeah, right, yeah. But anyway, what the hell?
This is going to go bad.
You guys are all a bad influence. Oh, yeah. Come on, guys. All the cool kids are scanning healthcare.gov.
I just did.
Yeah, I also want to thank all of you for being way more likely to get arrested than me. So, yeah, thanks a lot. That's awesome.
It's like being chased by the bear. You just hang out with people who are more criminal, and you're okay.
That's perfect.
I might sell weed, but this guy kills people, so.
Anyway, so a couple other cool things you can do. One thing we did was we built whitelists and blacklists, right? So really, really simple. These are just lists of, I'll show you the blacklists here for a second, and I'm going to scroll down just to show you that there's a shitload of sites in here. Or my browser's going to crash. It's one of those two.
Oh my God. Like,
Anyway.
Did you get bit by every demo, gremlin today? Like, this is just, it all fell on you. You're the last guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically I just wanted to click here and just show you that that's a shitload of sites. So this is, we are dealing with internet level data. Oh, you know what, first thing I really should have talked about was, how many of you have actually heard of PunkSpider? Okay, all right, so that's more than last year. Last year it was like 3 dudes who thought I was the guy that built Shodan. But
I get that too, since I did a lot of Showdown research.
yeah,
Thinking,
nice,
"You're the
yeah.
guy."
They're like, oh, you're that guy. Nope. And then they're really disappointed. So anyway.
It was Satoshi that built Shodan, right?
What PunkSpider is, obviously, is it's a huge vulnerability repository. It's built on a distributed scanner that we built. Works over a Hadoop cluster. I originally was really vague about like where we hosted it and how we did the whole thing. But since I already mentioned we're on EC2, we use Amazon EC2 for most of our scans. We obviously proxy everything through some like really shady Romanian shit. But it's pretty much EC2 and a little bit of rack space. And I wasn't actually going to tell you that, so it's a little free stuff. Anyway. Yeah, right.
Stupid inner dialogue. Like,
Yeah.
God, you're hot. Wait, what?
Anyway, so whitelist, blacklist, right? So that's really cool. Probably the best thing, though, that we've done to actually like help users out is we've made it really, really easy to, you don't actually have to go to PunkSpider to find if you're on a vulnerable site or not, right? So we built a little Google Chrome plugin. If you see this little spider at the top right here, it basically will warn you if you're on a vulnerable site. If you're not on a vulnerable site, it'll turn green and it will be happy and you will be happy. So here's a nice example of that. Let's say you're a really big fan of Nina Dobrev. She's apparently from the Vampire Diaries. I had no idea who she was, but it just seemed like an interesting site. But anyway, there's apparently a vulnerability on this website. All it does is it shows a little red X, right? So this is stupid simple stuff. Like I'm hoping that people install this and they're able to use it. It's really unintrusive, really simple. Like it basically just says, get the hell away from this site. Now you can click on it, of course, and you can get additional details. If you actually did want to go and for security folks, if you actually wanted to see the vulnerability that's causing that, you can go over here and you see the vulnerable URL. So we'll go ahead and click on that and see what that is. So really simple attack. Yeah. And what it looks like, this one's even worse actually than a lot of the ones you'll find. It looks like it's on a hosted server. So you see a lot of like cPanel stuff over here. So even folks that maybe aren't associated with this application in any way are going to get owned because of this. So that's bad. But anyway, you know, other sites, of course, are going to show green. So really simple. All right, this didn't find any vulnerabilities. You're welcome, it says. Not really, but I think that would be funny. We should add that. Make a note. Anyway.
Are you actually pointing to someone, or you just have like a...
Just in general, like everybody make a note.
Make a note of it. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
please. And,
Do you refer to yourself in the third person often?
All the time.
Okay.
So what the hell was I talking about?
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. This happens even without you. Oh, yeah, security or something. Right. So some additional things you can do. We added a bunch of filters. So if you're doing like security research or security research, you can just enable all the filters here and view everything that is vulnerable just by putting a little star over there. So we see that's 10,276 pages of vulnerable domains. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly how many websites that is, but it's a shitload. And what else?
Science.
Yeah.
Somewhere between it. Metric shitload and a little.
Yeah, I don't want to get too technical, but it's a shitload.
It's precisely a shit.
This is what you get on Sunday, okay?
Exactly.
Like you're waiting around all weekend, and you got this. So it's your fault too.
That's all I can remember to talk about. Oh wait, are you guys laughing at me, or are you laughing about the nipple covers website that's up on the screen? Yeah.
Divert.
If you need self-adhesive nipple covers, don't go to pastes.com.au. Buy American nipple covers, damn it.
All right, on that note, we got a few minutes to talk about ethics and to take questions from the audience.
Yeah. Oh, wait, one thing. Can I say one more thing? I just wanted to thank these people before I forget. Jay, Mark, Amanda, they're volunteers, the community, and everybody. A lot of the stuff that we built was from, I just interrupted Bruce Potter, and he looks kind of pissed
No,
at me,
it's
so.
totally glad I interrupted you. I'm a real jerk, man. You go right ahead.
Well, yeah, what the hell was I talking about? So a lot of the features that we built.
Make you nervous yet?
A lot of the features that we built is stuff that was suggested by the community. So like the firewall rules, that was not my idea. That was some dude at ShmooCon last year that yelled that out during the questions. And we actually built that shit. So same with the browser plugin. That was somebody else's idea. I don't remember whose. It might have been that guy right there, Mark, who actually helped me build it. I don't remember if it was your idea, but it was somebody's idea that wasn't mine. So we actually do like build shit that other people suggest. And we really do like to hear about, ideas and suggestions. We have a little forum, discourse.hyperiongrade.com. If you want to suggest anything, you want me to reformat anything, like I always actually...
Your hard drive? Oh yeah, that's not what you meant. And I gotta say, like, it's, I like the interface. Years and years ago, myself and Beetle and a few other Shmoo did this thing called the Hotspot Defense Kit, back when like people actually cared about wireless security. And the idea was to try to find rogue APs, and it would put a little ball up on top of your, whatever the thing on top of a Mac's called, menu bar, or whatever the hell it is. And if it was green, you're okay, and if it was red, you weren't. And it was like, most users are morons. Even smart security users are generally morons. But at least if we're not colorblind, realize that green is good and red is bad. And when it's red, you can stop using it. So big props for making something that's brain dead enough that anybody can recognize what's going on. So good job.
Thanks, man.
On that note, I'd like to open it up for questions and any war stories about ethical conundrums that these people have had. I mean, you guys have been scanning the internet for a while now, and obviously you get some complaints.
Go to 114.
I like the ice cream theme, so I thought we'd keep going. This is a frozen yogurt display.
A frozen yogurt display? Can you
It
make
looks
frozen
like-
yogurt go on the floor?
Paul,
Well, I don't know. What do you think that is? Oh, you can't see it.
I can't see. I'm just,
can't
dude,
see
I'm,
it.
we can't see the display. Actually, if you turn that, that's the monitor, right?
Oh, yeah,
turn it.
yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
can see
Yeah. Go to 114. You can see somebody has already tried to do like shell injection. So like you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is this one? Where is it? Oh.
Yeah, where it says cmd.exe. Yeah. So like, obviously, we're not the first people to find these open VNC servers.
Yeah.
They're like, I keep saying to people, like, I've had press interviews where people are like, oh my God, you're doing this revolutionary. No. Honestly, the White Hats, we're like 10 years behind everyone else. And we are just now getting around to convincing people that what we're doing is okay. And hilariously and sadly, part of that argument is the bad guys have been doing it since the 90s. Can we do it, please?
And one of the funny things is that we all, if you send us an email and say, hey, we don't like getting scanned by you, please put us on your exclude list, and we're happy to comply. But I keep wanting to tell them, though, you're kind of thinking about it wrong. You're asking the White Hats to stop scanning you.
right.
Yeah, this is
There's
kind
a
of
different way to prevent the problem.
Yeah, it's probably the reverse is probably what you want. Is you want the White Hats to scan you because I'm providing it as a free service.
I was gonna say, has anyone actually thanked you? I mean, it kind
No.
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting because there's this weird line between security research and extortion in some people's minds. You know, again, we were doing a lot of wireless security stuff, people would come to me and they would, you know, say, oh, I was scanning the business park next door, I was war driving, and I found this company with an open access point. I was going to stop by and tell them that they had an open access point, and, you know, I do consulting, and if they want, I can help them lock it down. I'm like, now, you have to understand, from a business owner perspective, they may thank you, or they may think you're trying to extort them, and they'll call the cops. And it's the same sentence you're going to speak, and it's all about how they interpret it. So, you know, when you scan someone and you find something vulnerable, it's, you know, if you tell them, are they going to come after you? I don't know. I mean, no one's ever said thank you.
Yeah, our policy is always that if we notify you, we do it for free.
Right.
Oh, nice. Oh, does it have an acid tank?
No, I haven't found that one yet.
Oh, that's the one on the roof, right?
No, one of the things that I found that I presented about at a different conference was a pool control system that had an acid vat, and that you could control the valve on the acid vat. So if you felt like it, you could dump all the acid into the pool. And I told people politely, don't give me control of the acid tank. Why would you do that? No.
189.
A very sad person at 189.
Well, that one is like an entire Korean billboard system. So, are there...
I told you there would be porn.
I think someone just trolled you. Like, seriously, there's no other rational reason that anyone would ever type porn into Google unless they've never heard of... I wonder what kind of porn I would like. Porn.
According to the screenshot, it's Mexican porn. It's google.com.mx.
They're at work.
And there you go. Good night, we're out.
So
Yeah, ethics, exactly. It's like, so here we are, we're sitting here, we're in DC, you know, we're having a good time, and we're poking this stuff out. So I'm just gonna ask you, is it legal? I mean, straight up.
Well, so
That's a good answer. That was well informed.
it's not illegal until you go to jail for it. But what's going on here is
It's not illegal to go to jail for it? I don't
until
understand.
you go to jail.
Go to jail for, right. That's why I tell
mean-
the cops, were you speeding? I'm not in jail. Wasn't illegal.
the legality of it entirely depends on how much money you have to throw at the lawyers.
No, well, that's the civil problem. You know, the criminal problem usually, well, never mind. Anyway,
So
yeah.
the U.S. law says that you're accessing the system without authorization. Now, these protocols have something in them that's clearly called authorization. You enter the username and password or just a password. And what Paul did with his scripts is very clearly say, no, only when the thing says there's no authorization needed do I connect. So, yeah, it sounds good, but tell it to the lawyers, tell it to the prosecutors.
Yeah, I mean, another example of something that I didn't do is most of these real VNC servers are vulnerable to most of the ones that are not in the result are vulnerable to an authentication bypass, where if you say, if they return, you need a password, and you say, well, I'm not using one, they're like, okay, I didn't do that. I could have, but I didn't.
So
this is closer to taking a screenshot of a website.
do you treat domestic complaints differently than international complaints?
No, I exclude anyone who will tell me what to exclude.
You complete me.
I complete.
Well, if the complainant is kind enough to include the host that they want excluded, we're happy to exclude the host.
Do people ever indicate that they're going to take action to take these systems offline?
Oh yeah.
Well, there was the angry guy in Australia from the other day that
You
said
mean,
he was
in
call the
terms
internet
of the
police.
things we found? Or?
Yeah, they say, can you exclude me and I'm actually going to fix the problem? Or
I have talked to a bunch of people about their problems. The only people who were thankful and fixed the problem were the people from the McGill physics department who asked me to exclude them. And I gave them some results from other parts of the university, and they were like, oh, we'll go deal with that.
well, there you go.
One of the fun threats I get is they threaten to firewall me.
I'll take away all your fun then. Yeah. Please don't. I can't give nearly as good presentations if we don't have all these stupid servers to connect to. Anyway, any questions to the audience? Because we're going to have to wrap this up and retool for there's a question on the far side.
It will make this harder?
So IPv6, of course, as we all know, is theoretically impossible to scan all the IPv6 address space, at least until like another 60 years when Moore's Law catches up. But there's actually lots of tricks you can do because there's only so many ranges that, /64 has been allocated. And within the /64, it tends to be fairly regular how they do that, then to your MAC address, and then the MAC address is itself, the first 3 bytes are a vendor code, and so you can reduce that. So there's lots of tricks you can do to reduce the IPv6 address space, but still, yeah, basically most all this stuff's not going to work on IPv6.
Here's one of those exploit scripts that got caught in the open Word doc.
That's awesome. On the left here.
I haven't found Rick Astley yet.
I'm going
If
to
you're
know what
quick
I'm
with
going to
your
do on
phone, you
Monday.
There's more porn on there too.
Over here.
Oh, is there?
Hey, hi, XXX.
Oh, no. That's not
Just ignore them. You can ask, sir. It's fine.
That's actually just an Arduino thing.
Alex, here's a question for you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Ah!
Yeah, we don't have anything besides them just being able to go to the search engine and actually search for their own website. We have gotten people that have kind of searched themselves and they're like, oh, shit, what do I do? And we typically would just help them out with that. Like, what were you picturing? Like.
So, like, for example, you search for, the roadbike.tv and you notice that there's a problem there, and you would just click, notify a website over, maybe you pull down the
I see. Yeah, so that's a good question actually. So that's technically not as simple as it sounds, right? First of all, you would have to find the proper email for the website owner. If you're actively informing other people that don't own the website, like for example, if we make a mistake, like maybe maybe there's just a huge list of emails on the page and we parse it and we blast an email to 50 people that are unrelated to the website. We're actually like notifying them about the vulnerabilities on somebody else's site. So we aren't sure exactly how to work around that problem yet, but Whois records suck though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the comment is, those of you in the back, that why don't we just pop off an email to, webadmin@domain and see if it works. And, maybe we'll get some, maybe we won't get some others. The only reason we haven't done that is because we haven't thought of that yet. So I'll write that down and we might actually do that.
All his good ideas come from ShmooCon audiences, so
Yeah, right, yeah.
as it turns out, Alex doesn't really think of new things, he just does all of the work for you, so he's horsepower. We'll take one more question, we're going to have to wrap it.
Where do you get the list of what domains or sites to scan?
So we built a distributed crawler as well that works with it. So we just have like a seed list. It's like just Alexa's like top 1 million. Then we crawl those, then we recrawl those and crawl them at a certain depth. So it's basically like exactly how like Google does it. Just a distributed MapReduce crawler that we built that does that for us.
There's an Alexis top 1 million?
There is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are there websites? Anyway.
It's all porn.
All right, well, we're going to have to get up and do the closing ceremony, so I want to thank you guys for participating in our experiment, and we really appreciate all your work. So. So we'll get to the closing ceremonies shortly, like 2 or 3 minutes. Branson, do you know where Heidi is? Oh, okay. We'll get going in just a minute.